Welcome to another edition to Election Insight. Joining us today, have two excited people who want to speak about their party in very enthusiastic ways. They're prepared. I have a son of a good friend of mine, Dr. Corbin, my squaddy back in the day. Shout out to Dr. Corbin. And I have Eden Corbin, his son, very handsome son, must have got. And I also have Dr. Denise Murray with me. Without any further ado, I want to welcome them to the studio. Welcome, Dr. Murray.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
Great to be here.
Yes, good. I'm going to beat up on you for what your father used to do to me in the fire trenches back in the day. I got a good opportunity to do. Hey, everything good? Y'all all right?
Yeah.
We're going to have a good discussion this afternoon. You're here representing which party?
APNU.
Partnership for National Unity.
National Unity. All right. Dr. Murray, I want to start with you. I want you to look into the camera, and I want you to tell the folks something you think they don't know about you.
So much. It's great to be with all of you, all your viewers, Pastor. I am a Guyanese. I've spent a long time in America studying, but I am proud to say to you today that after finishing up a doctorate last year, a few weeks ago, I was ordained a pastor.
Okay, beautiful. Brother Corbin?
Something that people
You
probably
don't
might
know
not
about
know
you.
about me
Yes.
is that I wanted to do stand-up comedy seriously for a while back. You know, I still follow it very much, but you know, I have to take on a more serious hat now. So
That's good.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Eden,
yes.
why have you chosen to throw your hat in the ring with the APNU party?
I mean, there's so many reasons I could give you, but I think one of the ones that have struck me is that when I was offered the opportunity, I was a bit concerned, as most youths are my age, you know, about my life, whether or not, you know, I'll be able to enjoy it. People are going to say, oh, use this party person and all the whatever they're going to attribute to you. And I thought to myself, hey, if this guy who's a billionaire could come up and offer himself for politics. I mean, you went to school and you graduated with your degree, you got a master's, you're a young professional. Why should you not offer up yourself for such a position? And after that, you know, the rest of ideas and the rest of reasons just, you know, came to me. This is the perfect opportunity for persons like myself to show young people that, hey, look, you don't need to think of politics as a taboo thing. It doesn't have anything to do with age. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have anything to do with affiliation. It just has to do with what you believe in, what you stand for, and standing behind that. And that's why I'm here.
Beautiful.
Good.
Dr. Murray, why the APNU?
Yes, it's a very good question, Pastor. I was looking to see whether, you know, how politics, you know, we remember the 2020 campaign, we remember the 2015, I remember the 2011 cycle campaign season. And, you know, I've always been, let's say, in the professional world or in the church world, looking at the political world. So I said to myself, you know, and there were a lot of parties that, you know, may need help. So I decided, I heard about Kingdom Liberal Movement, KLM, and they are the crown under the hand, right? They have decided to join forces. So I said, you know, why don't I give them a shout and be their advisor? And here I am, being involved. It's so great to see things from the inside. It's so great to be embraced as a professional. And let me say, I'm a technocrat coming in with those skills.
Okay, so you are part of the coalition. You're not with PNC, you're with the KLM?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Eden, you are with which branch? You are with the PNC?
PNCR.
PNCR. All right. Tell me something about the current leader of the APNU that you admire? And maybe you can take the opportunity to contrast that with the current president. What it is about Aubrey that you admire to the extent that you are prepared to subject yourself, and I'm using that word loosely, to his leadership?
Me first?
Yeah, you can go.
Okay, all right. Well, you said we would like to contrast. I think that does, both Comrade Leader and Irfan Ali a great disservice, because they're two completely different leagues.
Good
On
point.
one hand, you have an educated person, somebody who's been an educator, somebody possessing 53 years of political experience. I mean, when you listen to him speak, the way he's able to remember information to the detail, to the date, to the point, the level of precision, the way in which he thinks critically, the way in which he's able to articulate himself. I mean, pronunciation, it goes without saying, right? That's as far as the contrast that I'll go. But Aubrey Compton Norton presents what I believe is just what Guyana needs right now. It's an ordinary man with an extraordinary task ahead of him. And he has been able to amass not just the support of his own base, but the support of Guyanese from all cross-sections. Because what he's advocating for, what he's promoting currently with us, is that he wants to put the people first. He wants to ensure that everything the government do is people-centered. And the fact that we could be able to campaign on that slogan shows that the government of the day has failed miserably, because there's no way we supposed to be able to say people-centered government, and you have a government, because the government by nature, it is implied that they're supposed to be people-centered. But we are now campaigning on that because the people are no longer the center of attention. The center of attention is the contracts, is the monies, is the big businesses, the backroom dealing. And when you have a man who is dedicating himself to a majority of his life in public service and is now availing himself for the highest office in the land, you just have to sit and listen. And that's why I'm supporting him. I've had many conversations with him, and there's no time that I ever spoke to Mr. Norton and never left learning something. Ali, I probably leave with a headache and probably more questions than I had going in, and it's a no-brainer for me at least.
But you never had a conversation with President Ali?
Well, I think in my days at Youth Parliament, I did interact with Irfan Ali. I think he was the head of the Public Accounts Committee, and I did some work with Parliament there, and I did interact with him, but it wasn't much really to talk about at that time. He probably doesn't even remember me, but I can't say the same about, Mr. Norton, because I did meet him prior to him ascending to the position of leader of the opposition, and I was surprised when I got the call from him, to come in for a meeting, and the rest is history.
Beautiful. Dr. Murray, you want to share any contrasting comparisons?
Sure. Well, Eden is right on spot in terms of the points he has made. I want to look at it in terms of Mr. Norton's history, his being an academic, also his action-oriented positioning, and of course his grassroots development. Right? So in terms of the history, looking at where he came from, 50 plus years of activism, of development in the community, of partnering with the people. So it was a natural flow for him and his team to put together people-centered government, right, to attract the population, and it is gaining impact and traction in the community, right? For example, I was speaking with an Indo-Guyanese and trying to show him that, are we going to, your child, are you going to focus in terms of only, their books? They need love, they need kindness, they need support, they need all these other things. And, that Indo-Guyanese person could see with me. So I said, well, that is what Mr. Norton is trying to accomplish, putting people first. So in terms of the skills base, of course, he looks at things in an academic way, looking at not only theory, but practical, what works. And that comes from a cohesiveness with the people. In terms of Mr. Ali contrasting it, and I too, like Eden, had a short stint with Mr. Ali at the Ministry of Finance. And let me say what the attorney just said. You know, he probably don't even remember me too. But I found that he was not this kind of, not to say he should be, a touchy-feely type person. But when you're in public service, we tend to be very, very brash, very concrete-ish, you know, very hard, very sturdy, you know, with people. And that is not what Guyanese are accustomed to. They are a collective society. We are not individuals just working as robots. So the comparison, I believe, is unequal. It's uneven, you know, so to speak. And then finally, I believe Mr. Norton is looking or comes from that biblical kind of valuistic position, right? So he can more so identify, you know, or know his salvation or know the power of prayer, you know, and that is what the people, of course, want as well. They want to see godly values within someone. I'm not sure about the other side in terms of Mr. Ali. I've never seen that side of him.
Okay, good. So let me use this opportunity to segue. Dr. Murray, you are a doctor in the religious sphere. There's a lot of negativity that comes with being associated with politics. You would have heard of some of those negativities. How do you think your spiritual or religious life will compare or contrast with the life of a politician, given the stigma associated with politics?
It's a great question, you know, and this is where I believe the society needs to graduate up. They must see God in all spheres of society. If they call on God to pay that GPL bill, they must call on God to know how to vote. They must follow the principles laid out in the Word of God. And I keep telling those in the society that whether you take a Moses with a Pharaoh, or Esther with her husband, or you know, Daniel, or even a Saul or a Paul, you know, we're always hitting up on political governmental figures. And Guyanese need to realize that it's not a separate boat that they're in, but it's just one boat of politics and theology, or politics and religion. You have to trust God for a civil government. You have to trust God for a righteous government. You have to trust God for a government that could give us justice. And Micah and Joel and Amos speaks of that.
Okay. Eden, your father is a renowned spiritual leader in this country. So I'm asking you the same question. How do you harmonize your spiritual and religious grooming in light of the negativities associated with being a politician?
Well, I'm no theologian like Dr. Murray, but the reality is that one, the Bible calls us to be the salt and the light of the earth.
Good.
And it also requires us to be able to go into those spaces. And I'm comforted knowing that I'm not the only person who has religious beliefs that has entered politics. We've seen many bishops, we've seen pastors,
Right.
Islamic leaders, persons from the Hindu faith. So it's not a taboo, as we would like to say. As far as the stigma attached to politics, there's a stigma attached to everything. And the stigma attached to dangerous driving doesn't stop us from going on the roads. The stigma attached to alcoholism and cigarette smoking doesn't stop people from selling or buying those items.
Right.
And the same should be applied to politics, especially when there is more to gain and there's a bigger stake at hand for the politics. My entry into politics is something I would like to say is something that is just bound to happen. I've always had a keen interest in these things, and it would have had to be that God has been pushing me into that particular direction. As far as harmonizing goes, I don't need to harmonize because I embody what I believe. And me being a part of politics means that whatever I believe, I bring into that. I speak about, I talk every opportunity I get. I mention it, whether directly or indirectly. To any crowd I'm in front of, I have my favorite saying that I use. He's got the whole world in his hands, you understand? And that has been one of my big campaign taglines in my speeches. Mm-hmm. So it's about finding a way to not shy away from what you believe in and sticking to what you believe. If you embody Christ, if you embody your beliefs, then it will show in every single thing you do. It will impact the decisions you make. It'll impact the companies you keep. It will impact what you want to put your name next to and how far you're willing to go. And it is my hope that through what I believe, that I'm able to reach and to touch persons and to utilize what I've learned within the religious field to that. On the other part, just to clarify, as I tell everybody, my father is the pastor, not me. You understand? So as far as the religious beliefs and all those things goes to, he is the pastor, I am the son of a pastor. So anything people would like to attribute, you have to figure out whether you want to deal with the son or you want to deal with the father. I haven't been called in that light, and I'm serving in other ways, and I'm thankful to my parents, and I'm thankful to my community and my church and all of those persons who have reached out to me, who've encouraged me in the same way, to, stick to your beliefs, don't let them get you caught up in that stuff. And I hold fast to those things, and I don't intend to stray anytime soon.
Fair enough.
May I just say a quick
sure.
word, Pastor? I don't know if Eden realized this, but I was at the Reading Hoop rally, and he ended his speech with, "He's got the whole world." And I believe it was amazing for me to see that DJ picked up on that tune and the crowd went wild. I was just standing there in awe that these people were just dancing, the whole crowd to this music. So embedded in us, it's that spiritual thing that Guyanese know that we cannot do without God, and they are just happy that it is just interjected at various moments.
And if I could pick up on that, where we see things such as the allegations or the circumstances surrounding young Adriana Young, who have died, and the things that have come out, whether they're true or not, it really indicates that in our leadership position, especially at the highest levels in office, we need more persons who are grounded in their belief and values, because that is what is going to really save it. I was only talking to a group of persons. I was trying to wash my car before I came over here, and I was telling the lady who owned it that, the reality is there are certain things that money cannot fix. And we want the Guyanese people to understand that even though, and I want to look at you and tell you, even though they might give you money, they might tell you things, they might want to encourage you to do specific things,
yes,
there are certain things that money cannot fix. There is a young 10-year-old boy in a hospital right now in Georgetown with no father, no mother. There's no amount of money that will heal him. There's no amount of money that will fix. There's a family over the river who lost their 11-year-old daughter.
Yes.
There's no amount of money. And I could go on. And we have to be cognizant of this. We need to remove from this materialistic lifestyle and this materialistic view. And that's what people-centered means to us.
Right.
It means that we are going to put the people first and ensure that we're not just giving you money, we're not just giving you grants and these things, but we're giving you a way of life that you could be proud of. We're giving you a quality of life that you could rest assured that you don't have to lose your mother and your father, that you don't have to lose your young daughter, and that you could be happy with the Guyana that we intend to offer you. And
right.
The only party that's going to offer you that is the Partnership for National Unity.
The only one.
I dabble in politics.
Okay.
But I'm not a politician. And I would be a politician, but not in Guyana. And I'll tell you why. I have a question coming behind this, right?
Okay.
In light of what you guys just said.
Sure.
I like the American approach to politics, where you can be a Democrat and vote for Republican issues. You can't do that in Guyana. And I am fearful
Well, I
that
mean,
stay with me. Stay with me. I'm afraid that if I were to align myself with a political party,
Right.
that I would have to either turn a blind eye or support that party based on any of the negativities that come with being with that party. Let me give you an example. Prior to 2015, the opposition PNC APNU coalition accused the PPP of corruption, and then they came into office, and the PPP accused them of corruption. Can the folks count on you guys to speak out on corruption in your party should your party win? Dr. Murray?
Yes, a resounding yes.
This is being recorded, right?
A resounding yes. But I speak, I believe, as a professional and as a technocrat, and we have many like myself. We just laid out our beliefs. And I believe my colleague here said it's when the two comes together, your values and your beliefs. Corruption is too much. And also, I'm coming with a different layer here as well, having grown up in the States since I was 11. So it's embedded in me. You know, if you say this curtain is blue, I cannot support you. If you say that we have to, wire up someplace and we know that it's against the law or GPL's rules, I can't support you. So I know that, and I'm very strong on this, that we have to have, whether in the church or out of the church, I'm going to go back to this slogan in New York: if you see something, say something.
All right, I'm putting it to you that you're not going to make it very long in politics. Well, I did that a rhetorical statement, right? I'll go to you, Mr. Corbin. Can the folks count on you to speak out against corruption in your party?
Well,
when once you know there is corruption, given the fact that you are saying today that you are going into politics to maintain a spiritual and ethical position?
well, there are several facets to the answer, and I would like to take my time to address it because I understand the importance of clarifying these things. My general answer is yes. You can speak out to me. I am a trained legal professional, so as far as ethics goes, that's something that has been ingrained into me as a young professional. We know that there are levels to things that can be done. Now, with that same legal training, we understand as well that there are certain gray areas in this whole scheme of politics. Now, I heard the statement be posited a few weeks ago that politics is not a church. You understand? And I would like to keep that in mind, because when there are issues of corruption or there are issues of malfeasance being brought to the fore, you have to be careful. As much as you may want to speak out on certain things, you have to be cognizant of when is the time to speak out, where should you speak out, because sometimes you might intend, and I think that's what you would have been alluding to in your rhetorical statement towards the doctor, is that you might be intending to speak out, but you have to be cognizant that you have a group of persons on the other side that are, for all intents and purposes, looking for every little mistake. And what you may intend to, be righteous and to be ethical may be misconstrued and used against you. Now, my understanding of that means to me that I have to be cognizant of when I choose and what I choose and how, which is the main thing, how you choose to speak out. In a political sphere, it is very incorrect for you to openly come out and criticize your own administration. There are forums for that. There are meetings for that. And when those forums come, you can definitely count on me, because when I initially got the call and I was engaging with the current leader and his associates at the time, I told them that I am not going to be coming into this to be a yes man.
Right.
And if y'all don't want me to talk against you, don't put me there. If you're bringing me there, it's because you're accepting that when I see something, I'm going to say something. But if what your question is premised on an open criticism like the Dominic Gaskins and those type of persons, then you can't count on me to criticize my own administration, because when they fail, I fail. When they make a mistake, I make a mistake too. So I encourage all other persons and youths who are interested in politics to pay attention to that. The political sphere is very, very different, and you might come in with great ideas, you might come in with great, plans, but I know the first rule of engagement here is you find the line and you toe it, and then you develop yourself. You develop a brand for yourself. You show the party that you have integrity. You show the party that you have competence, so that when it is time for you to speak, people are willing to listen. But the problem we have is persons coming in, paying lip service, not doing enough, being very incompetent, not functioning to the best of their abilities. And then at the first chance they get, they're just willing to criticize. And we see some of them who have already departed in the same way. And that cannot be how the political organization works. The main thing that gels together the political party or political group is our shared belief and our value in a vision, in a direction that we want to go in. And if at any point in time the direction does not go the way it should, our first response should never be to openly criticize, because what that means is that the criticism falls on your door too. You understand? So we got to be cognizant of that, and being cognizant of that, while I am willing to stand up and hold ethical, moral, and professional standards, we have to be cognizant that there is a time and there's a place for everything.
Okay, so that said, you realize that any politician, and there's a little difference in the way the two of you answered. Nonetheless, you realize that what you're saying, Eden, is what any politician can argue right now. So the coalition or the APNU or anybody person who's vying to compete with the current administration is leveling charges of corruption against them. But somebody can say, I speak about corruption, but I speak about corruption how Corbin said I should speak about it. I shouldn't wash my dirty linen in the public. So I meet with the guys and I say, gentlemen, there's a problem here. You understand that that is what you're saying, right? That if the APNU wins and you get into power and somebody says, hey, you guys, there's corruption in your party, like how they were accusing the APNU of corruption during the last administration. And you would know that there are several politicians from the APNU who are currently before the court for the corruption that they are accused of. You guys are saying, we're going to talk out about corruption, but we're going to talk about corruption in a controlled environment. And I'm saying that that is what a number of politicians do and say today. So you guys are not really any different. You come here and you come from a spiritual position and an ethical position. But what you're saying is that we will address corruption, but we're not going to, like how we come on television now, representing the party, we will not come on television and speak about the corruption in the party, because that would not be the forum for it. That's what I'm hearing, right?
Well, I don't know about any corruption in the party, so I want to correct that premise.
The accusation of corruption.
No, and we could treat it as accusations
Right.
or whatever, but accusations without any proof and any further evidence remain as
so then you're not prepared to say that the
accusations.
PPP is a corrupt party.
Oh, definitely.
So you
because
have proof?
Though I don't have to show.
anyhow,
Wait. No. If you want to address it,
what
let's address it. Let's not leave anything on the table or in our minds.
Go ahead.
The corruption that we are addressing is not based on just our observations, but it is based on what we have been seeing, where you have members of their own parties coming out and persons associated and affiliated and saying things that are really shining a very bad light. And as the people say, once there's smoke,
there's fire.
And we've seen enough smoke
and I'm
in that
I'm
regard.
not doubting that. I'm saying, wasn't there corruption in the APNU in the 5 years that they were in? Yes or no?
I won't be able to say
You
that.
see what I'm doing?
I
Okay,
won't
anyhow,
be
let's
able to
move
say
on.
that.
But
Yeah,
I like,
thank
you see what's happening, right?
Yeah.
So you see why I can't be a politician, right? Because those idiosyncrasies and those gray areas tickle my fancy. Because I would come out on television. If I'm a part of WIN or Forward Guyana or AP and your PP, And I know, understand, you said, Doc, say something, say something.
But
I would come on television and say, so I'm just saying, let me dabble with politics and let me enjoy it.
But allow
from the
me to offer
periphery.
you a paradigm shift, if I may.
Sure.
What you're proposing, I think there is much value in it. But if you do not see the detrimental nature in that, we must, and that's why
I see
my
the detrimental.
point.
Hold on, Eden.
No,
I see the detrimental nature of it, and that's why I'm telling you that I would not do what you guys are doing.
No, but for the listening, for our viewers, our supporters.
Go ahead.
I would be remiss to say that what you're saying, it brings to fore two things. You speak out against that, but remember now in politics, as I said, loyalty is one of the key things.
Beautiful.
So there needs to be a balance struck, I believe, and that's what my answer was really premised on.
Beautiful.
We need to strike a balance between the criticisms and the dangers in criticisms that go unchecked.
That, and that's why I'm telling you that is why when the APNU is in, they're accused of corruption, and nobody on the inside admits that there's corruption. And when the PPP is in, there's corruption, and nobody, that's what I'm saying. So everybody in the party is saying, oh, we are pure as the one driven snow, from both sides of the divide. And I'm saying, if I were to be in, if I get a call from Aubrey, Jeffrey, I want you to be a candidate, I would tell Aubrey, if you thief money, I can come and I can go channel 2 and I can tell him you thief money. So you sure you still want me? But what you guys are saying is, if we see money being stolen, we're going to have a meeting at Congress.
No, there needs to be an investigation into
those
things.
But you understand.
Let me just give a small point here. When you asked about corruption,
yes,
it's a broad subject.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
You know, where Eden took it and where I took it was two different paths, right? Eden took it internal and I took it external, right? So I was looking at from a perspective of infrastructural projects or in the police force or wherever in society.
Dr. Murray, you came from a country where the Democrats would vote to out a Democrat for corruption. A Republican would vote to out a Republican for corruption.
Got you.
Right? But I'm saying, has that ever happened in Guyana?
We're 59 years old.
Meaning
and
what?
Meaning that we still need to develop systems. We need to still put systems in place. That's why we need this people-centered government.
Sister Murray, you're moving the goalposts, but I understand. You're moving the goalposts. You was who brought in the fact. You was who brought in the notion that you've lived overseas from the time you was 11 or 13, and you spoke of that need to mimic a political culture akin to what you experienced. And now you're the one that brought your American standing. And now you're here saying, well, compared to a 400-year-old country, we're only 50-something-year country, and we really don't have the mechanisms to deal with that. But anyhow, I'm not belaboring the point. I'm just saying, please understand me, why I have the acumen, I'm halfway intelligent. I can be a member of any political party in this country.
Got you.
But because of my fear that I might misspeak, based on the...
And I think you would be better served where you are right now.
Yeah, thank you. Shake my hand. Thanks. Your father would be proud of me. All right.
Yes.
I see you have your manifesto with you.
Yes, sir.
Doc. If you were to highlight two things that you think should really be at top of the mind for you, because I know there's a whole host of things in that manifesto to which you can speak.
That's right.
But tell us two things that you think really should be top of the mind for the Guyanese people as they move into the September 1 elections.
Well, thank you for the question. I would come back to the same corruption and education.
Okay.
All right? And let me correct something that you just said. It is not, I do not hold Guyana to the standard of the American society. That's why I mentioned 59 years old. We have to look at where we are, who we are as a people, and how is it that Guyana would like to address corruption everywhere. How Guyana would like to address corruption internally or externally, down to the grassroots level. Right? So this manifesto is saying it loud.
Hold it up so that people can see it.
It's loud and proud in terms of when you are people-centered, you want to create an atmosphere of justice in the society and not something that's divisive. I would also say that education is also addressed. Not leaving no child behind or some of those taglines, but looking at education in terms of is there a breakfast program? Is there a teacher in every classroom? Where can I get counseling? Is there a playground in the school facilities? That well-rounded, holistic child. That is what we're aiming for.
Beautiful. Dr. Eden, you want to speak a little on that?
Well, the manifesto, I won't go to specifics because she took the 2 points that I love, and it's good governance and education. But in addition to that, I think one of the key things that persons should take from our manifesto is that it provides a holistic approach.
Right.
It does not tackle issues and problems in a piecemeal fashion.
Right.
We address the issues like, okay, persons are saying there's a high cost of living, so 200,000 for public servants. We're raising the tax threshold to 400,000. We're giving university students and tertiary students $50,000.
Right.
And they're rent to own scheme, free house lots. So these things that are being done are just I would say, the beginning part. Those are just the scouts. The real change that comes from our manifesto is that, just like education, we're not just tackling it at improving the quality for teachers and improving and providing more schools, but it's about the holistic thing in ensuring that there's a continuity in the developmental progression or the trajectory of the country, whereby we're providing students with more money, we're providing them with proper and high quality of education, but at the same time, we're looking to reform the curriculum, we're looking to upskill, so we're not just focusing on the persons who may be academically inclined, we're looking at the persons who don't want to sit down in a classroom, persons who want to do these, hard skills, I think they call it, where you're learning to be a mechanic, you're learning to do
technical and vocational
all
skills.
of these other particular things. So, and that happens in everything. Infrastructure. We're not just going to be building roads, but we're going to be taking a more direct and an intentional approach to urban planning. We're going to do more feasibility studies. So we say we're going to build a new community, or we're going to build a new housing scheme. We're going to ensure that when that housing scheme is built, that there's a thought in place for banks. There's a thought in place for more schools. There's a thought in place
Community
for shopping
center.
centers, community centers, playgrounds, because we're not just looking at governance from a give them and make them feel good and pacify them for 2 years and then they come back again complaining. We're looking at, hey, we want to put you first, and putting you first means that we're going to make life easier for you, and then we're going to make life better for you and for every other line that comes after you. And that is the whole, when you look at the manifesto, as Dr. Todd would say, it is a map to growth of Guyana, because we're not just concerned about doing particular things, but we're looking to invest in the people, we're looking to invest in the country to ensure that the country in itself is going to develop. So after we would have given you and you collect your cash grant, or the pensioners collect their 100,000, they can be secure knowing that when they go to the market, the prices will be more affordable. They can be secure knowing that there will be more access to new agricultural and proper different types of the new agricultural things, the hydroponics and all these other things, to incorporate not just the old way, but we're looking to bring ourselves up to the international standards in relation to governance, in relation to technology, in relation to development. And that is what our manifesto presents to the Guyanese public.
Thank you. Dr. Murray, we see some kind of a hemorrhaging, particularly of Afro-Guyanese, from the coalition to the PPP.
Okay.
And you know the names of those people who have crossed over in a very public way. What is the APNU doing in relation to race relations to build the non-Afro-Guyanese wing of the APNU party? Are there any direct overtures that are being made, and how successful are those?
What I can say, I'm not in the executive, of the APNU, but I am someone on the ground. So I'm giving you my perspective from what I see.
Fair enough.
They are concentrating on their bases. And there is a tremendous, our messaging that we receive targets the youth, particularly the Afro-Guyanese youth. When I go house to house and I see that there's a young person, I would spend more time, Afro-Guyanese. And I would, matter of fact, it happened today. I asked this young girl, is there any questions that you have that I can answer for you in terms of APNU? So we have been asked to ramp up our engagement with the Afro-Guyanese youth. Now, yes, there are crossovers, but I like to think of them as crossbacks, right? Because we have seen many of our social media posts and pictures where people have actually, Afro-Guyanese have actually changed to that green t-shirt right before our eyes when they get some of what we are offering them, and how we are so people-centered. They can definitely see the differences between people and infrastructure, right? So why is it that I'm supporting somebody, you know, who is it that doesn't look after my interests? I need a proper bus system. I have to wait an hour or two if you're coming from way up the East Bank to Mary, Sue's Dyke, Land of Canaan, Garden of Eden, just to get to work on time. My water it doesn't look clear. It looks brown. Somebody that cares for me will be looking into these kinds of issues.
Thank you. Dr. Corbin, we're talking about race relations.
You could give me back the question.
I'm
please.
asking, does the party have a strategy to win the non-stronghold persons, just like the PPP is seeking in a very strategic way to win their non-stronghold support?
You know, from where I sit, I think we have a diverse group of persons, and you know, there are always people coming over. But as we know, the government of the day does not truly believe in democratic rights and freedoms. So you have a lot of persons who are coming over in silence, you know, who are coming over secretly, you know, for lack of a better term, because they are very wary of what they have been experiencing, and they are not willing to go through the castigation or the victimization or the persecution, seems to be a word being tossed around loosely these days, but the persecution of what they would get from supporting the party, but they do. And our strategy does not need to be to focus on the particular, getting a particular ethnicity.
Right.
Our strategy is on policy.
Right.
People are going to see that, hey, this is a policy that's not just focused on the Afro-Guyanese or the indigenous people or the Indian Guyanese. It is a focus on all Guyanese. So while they want to project this image that, hey, look, we have these persons coming over and crossing over, the reality is think about it this way. I give somebody the example. You have two plants. You have a room. You have one window. Sunlight, air is on the side with the window. Another side is very damp and dark. You take one plant and you put it close to the window. You take another plant and you put it in the corner by the dampness and the darkness. Everybody knows what will happen. The plant closer to the sunlight and the window and the air is going to thrive, and the other plant placed in the damp and the darkness is going to naturally die, or is going to wither away or slowly die. The PPP has put the Guyanese people in the damp and the dark. So naturally, when you come with these, 100,000 and we're going to do, and we're going to build a 2-inch road in your community, they're going to be overjoyed. And you might see a temporary improvement in the plant because they have created an environment or a situation whereby the Guyanese people are so disheartened and disillusioned that any little thing that they do seems to be a great thing. And it's not them alone doing that. The other new horse in the race, he's doing that as well. They have created a Guyana. They have taken away free education way back in the 90s, and they have created an environment where Guyanese have to live a hard life, where they have to struggle to get what they get. So when you come in now and you give me $500,000 for a little small contract, and your friend is collecting a $500 million contract, I'm going to jump up for joy, because I'm only seeing $5,000 at the end of the week. I'm only seeing $20,000 at the end of the week. So naturally, people are going to gravitate to that, because people don't want to suffer. People don't have the political willpower that we have to do to stand firm in what we believe in and hold the fort and say we're not going to change, and we know the change is going to come in. I cannot force or beg the average Guyanese to hold those beliefs. But what we can do is show them bit by bit, as Dr. Denise alluded to, that we have policies in place to remove everybody away from the damp and the dark, and to put everybody next to the window. The window is too small, we build a bigger window. The room is too small, we break down the room, and we have an open area with sunlight for every single body. And that is what we intend to do. So when you say what we're doing, it's our policy. We don't need to play race. We don't need to play, because if I'm to tell you the amount of persons from the other ethnicities that have come over into our party secretly, you would not believe it. Every single day I get messages from persons from all walks of life, whether it's the high class, low class, middle class, every single day, and they are resolute. And the one message that I keep hearing is, I cannot come out openly, you don't know what's going on. I have friends in the police force, I have friends in the public service, I have friends working in the private sector, and they're all coming out saying the same thing. We love what you're doing. We announce something, we love what you're doing. Explain how this works to us. And they may not be coming out in public. You may not even see them at the rallies and our public meetings, but they are there. And as I say, come September 1st, the PPP is going to get 2 jumbie lash, one for general and one for regional.
What kind of lash?
Jumbie lash, because it's a lash you don't see coming. So while they are moving with their support and carrying the crowds and incentivizing people with handouts, we don't blame them, because when you're living in a society where things are hard, where there's been a 75% increase in the cost of agricultural and food goods over the last 3 years, that's 25% per year. What do you expect when, it's like you put me in the desert, I'm there hot, and then somebody come and put a trickle of water. I'm going to be the happiest person ever. And that is what we want to move the Guyanese away from. And that's why I said, we're not just going to be giving them grants and small monies. We are going to be giving them a better economy, a better lifestyle, a better quality of life, a Guyana that they could come and enjoy, and you don't need a minister to come and tell you that it's because of us you got to see $1 million for the first time in your life. And we're moving away from that divisiveness, because if you really look at it, it's only one party that is openly coming out and saying, oh, we're race and ethnicity. It's only one party really preaching those type of messages. You hardly hear those messages on our side, because we know it is not in the race baiting and the ethnic division and the divisiveness, but we know it is in the policy, and that is why they have to resort to those kind of distortions and contortions, playing with the minds of people who they refuse to educate. You understand?
Okay. Doc, you wanted to jump in?
Yes, I want to jump in quickly and support my colleague, and I don't want your viewers to miss this. It's, and I believe it's a generational, let's say, difference, in that you're seeing more and more, even in our APNU umbrella tent, that we are focused mostly on policies. Very different than a 2020 or a 2015 or a 2011, right? So the policies have to take center, and people in the communities want to know, can you bring down Bora? Can you bring down the price of Bora or coconut water? The cost of living or corruption, as my colleague just said, you get a contract, but creaming off a piece already of that contract, and what are you left with? All right? We want to look at these issues, right? So the thing about our message today, right, and we strongly believe in it, is whereby see what people-centered government is all about. And that is putting people first in every sense. And a minute ago, I even thought about that needs analysis, right? We go out and we have consultations. But then again, we don't want to have consultations whereby the president comes in, all the ministers comes in, and you know, they have this big optic show. You got to decentralize that process. Let the NDCs work. Let the RDC work.
Okay. Eden, you throw a little jab at the Win Party, Mohammed, just now in your.
Did I?
Yeah, when you talk about the other person who is doing the same thing, I heard it. So let me ask you, can you explain the win factor in this political cycle? What caused this meteoric rise of a party just 4 months, and look what they've been able, not that they will get all of the support, or maybe they'll get more, but why?
Well, I mean, on the premise that I was not privy to whatever it has happened, but as a Guyanese citizen who's been paying attention to what has happened, my take, and I qualify that view in public, my take on what would have happened is that it's simple. You reach to a point where you empower the people around you to a particular point. You make them feel bigger than life, larger than the system itself. And then a surprise comes in, a tsunami called OFAC. The tsunami hits, and it hits somebody very close to you. So what does the PPP do? They do what any smart political organization or government do. You establish some amount of distance, but remember now, you empower these people, you allow them to act with impunity, you allow them to bring in luxury vehicles and enjoy the best Guyanese lifestyle that they could possibly enjoy. And now, because of that, they know the system and they know what they have done for you. And they cannot now be able to accept that they now have to take a step back and not enjoy this lifestyle that you give them. You require them to sit down in the corner and to not make any noise and to just focus on, you know, being quiet at this time until the breeze called OFAC blows over. And they don't want to do that. Why? Because you've empowered them to the point where they feel that they're not just bigger and better than you, but they're just as good as you. You keep telling them and you're threatening, and they say, you know what? I don't have to take this from you. I am going to fight you, and I'm going to ensure I do everything in my power to make you lose. Because if we assess the whole thing from just one instance, which is the Lamborghini fiasco, you're telling me, as a right-thinking, educated Guyanese, a 1 in 200 and something vehicle, because it's a rare vehicle, the Lamborghini that was brought in, it's 1 in, I think, about 265 of those type of Lamborghini was made in the world.
Wow.
He has 1 of those vehicles. So it's not just a luxury vehicle, but it is a rare item, because there's only 200 and something available in the world, made in the world. You bring in this vehicle, you're telling me there's no other vehicle like this ever coming in. The GRA is saying, yes, this is how much the vehicle is worth, you've paid all your taxes. Now the party and the person falls out. All of a sudden now, they have not realized that he did not pay the proper taxes, but they are able to prove it. They release the bank statements. They release the initial purchase order. And we as the Guyanese people, probably it's my legal training, but we as the Guyanese people are to accept that you now came to that information all of a sudden when the two of you seem to fall out. No.
You speak as a real politician. You know, you didn't answer my question yet. I wasn't asking about him. I was asking about his support. Why?
You're talking about the support.
Right.
Well, you see,
the win factor.
The thing is, I don't even give it much thought like that. But as far as I see it, what I have realized, I was in Bagostown the other night, and I spoke to some persons who were standing below with flag and win paraphernalia. And I asked them, you know, what's up, you know, what's going on? And they told me point blank, the same thing I made too. Life is hard, you know, the economy is not good. We're finding it hard to make money. And what he is offering is free money for nothing. come and stand up at a rally for 2 hours and you'll get a little change. Go on Facebook and post when are we going to pay you some money.
So
show support.
That's happening?
That is what I've gotten from the persons who are wearing the jerseys, who are wearing the paraphernalia. And what they're saying is that they realize there is no heart in that party. So the majority of the support that they're claiming that is going away or being taken is not really being taken. It's just a fanfare. It's just entertainment.
So you think that the APNU will get some of those support?
I know that those are still some of our supporters, but these are the supporters that have been given the raw end of the deal from the PPP government in relation to how they would have dealt the economy. So as I said, you take away everything from a person, you make life so hard and miserable, they are going to run to what is the best thing for them immediately. But as far as where it goes to their conviction and their belief and the party that they know will take care of them, they have said it, to me. Even just now before I came here at the Wash Bay, the lady was saying to me that, hey, it's two parties I'm looking at, WIN and APNU. And then when I, interrogated her a little bit more on it, she just said to me that, the reality is that we only doing this because we want, a little bit of money, and you could never chastise somebody for wanting to do better for themselves.
Right. Thank you. All right, so we've come to the top of the hour. I want to thank you very much. I know you guys have another pressing appointment that is time-based. But before we go, Doc, I want you to look in the camera and tell one person why they should choose to vote for APNU.
You are special, and you deserve a livable wage. You deserve something that this Guyana will give you. And since we are people-centered, we have placed it here in writing to say that we can give you what you're looking for. You deserve better, and we are the change that you need.
Thank you. Eden, look in the camera and convince one person why they should vote for the APNU.
Governance is supposed to build roads. The government is supposed to make life better and take care of its citizens. You don't want a government that is just going to do what they're supposed to do, but you want a government that is going to go beyond the call.
Yes.
A government that listens, a government that has heard you, and a government that has shown you in real ways how we intend to take care of you. A lot of persons will try to push the basic needs that they are supposed to do to you in your faces and claim that it's promises kept and dreams realized. But you know that a promise is a comfort to a fool, and a dream only applies when you're sleeping. And I know that you're awake right now. And because you're awake, you've seen and you've felt what we have all felt. And you know in your heart that come September 1st, you need a government that is not going to just do what they are supposed to do, but a government that is willing to go beyond the call. And that is the Partnership for National Unity.
Vote for the PAN.
Vote for the PAN.
Vote for the PAN.
Doc, thank you so much for your time.
We had fun. We had
Brother
fun.
Corbin, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I want to thank you very
you.
much for joining us on Election Insights. Until our next installment, God bless you. Stay safe. Bye-bye.